Welcome back, guys. So for today, we are going to be taking a look inside of one of Wade Wilson's cells and going through the both bizarre and disturbing items that we're going to find within it. So we're going to first go through the incident reports that are going to correlate with the photos that we're going to go through next. The first one states that on September 17th, 2022, being assigned to 2 East Floor at approximately 1000 hours, inmate Wade Wilson was moved to the 3 East multipurpose room for a scheduled visit with Dr. Body. While inmate Wade Wilson was out for his visit, a shakedown was conducted of his assigned cell, 2F9, where he was housed alone by myself and Deputy Clappert. There were several concerning items that were located during this search. Pictures are attached, and 2 big bags of what appears to be a homemade intoxicant, a microfiber towel, a bag of coffee, black socks, and other nuisance contraband was found. All contraband was then removed from the floor and disposed of accordingly. This ends the involvement of the matter, and he was charged with conduct that interferes with security or orderly running of the institution, contraband itself, and making intoxicants. Our next report has the same date, Saturday, September 17th, but this one's at approximately 10:10 hours. Inmate Wade Wilson returned to his cell from his attorney visit. Inmate Wilson was advised that while he was at the visit, a shakedown of his cell was conducted. Inmate Wilson became agitated and refused to move his arm from the security food pass so it could be secured. Inmate Wilson began throwing cups of unknown liquids, food, and wet toilet paper out of his cell. Inmate Wilson was ordered several times to cease his actions. Compliance was not gained, and inmate Wilson continued to throw things out of his cell. CIT was utilized by myself and Deputy Elmy, and compliance was gained, and inmate Wilson ceased his actions, and the safety food pass was secured. Photographs of the incidents are attached, and inmate Wilson will be receiving a disciplinary report for the following rule violations: conduct which interferes, refusing an order, and failure to remain clear of doors when in operation, or any tampering with or blocking of a locking device. And just a heads up, there may be a few of these photos that are supposed to be attached to a different incident report, but I'll make sure to include those in future episodes when we get there. So here is his little desk area. There is lots of different form of contraband on the top, which we're going to zoom in closer to. You could see a variety of books, and that yellow stick looking thing is actually the handle to a plunger, which he is not supposed to have in there. So when we take a closer look, one of the items that we can see on the top of this desk is a plastic cup filled with what appears to be pills and then maybe some Tums. They're very colorful and vibrant, big wafers, and it's labeled TAR, T-A-R, and I'm not exactly sure what it stands for. Let me know in the comments if you happen to know. Next up, we have this empty jar looking thing filled with what appears to be a bunch of pens, except the caps are removed, the ink is removed, the spring is removed, essentially everything is removed but the actual tubing to the pen itself. If you think it's something else, definitely let me know down below. Then we have the beautiful inside of this cup. It seems to be brown in color. Not exactly sure what this is either, but there you go. All right, and then we have the actual plunger. So you couldn't tell it was a plunger when it was underneath that desk, but now that it's actually out and open, you can see that yellow stick again. As far as I'm understanding, things like this need to be logged in and out, and they are part of your work detail. So there is absolutely no reason why Wade should have a plunger in his cell, and my mind races with thoughts of what he was using it for. And then we have the homemade intoxicant, which is sitting inside of what appears to be a plastic bag, then wrapped in maybe a sheet or some type of cloth. Still not entirely sure how a liquid is inside of there, so if you have any thoughts, let me know down below. So the next 2 images are by far the most disturbing photographs, in my opinion, that we will see. This is actually the inside of Wade Wilson's cell door. And at first, I had no idea what I was looking at until we then realized that these are actually discovery photos that are all hanging up. You'll see the Hellcat, you'll see the photographs taken of Wade when he was arrested, the cell phone he had on him. In the upper left corner, that's actually the area that Diane's body was recovered. And there's definitely a photo in here that is questionable, so I had to redact it, and that is the purple square that you see at the bottom. And then here is our second image, which is the other side of the wall. Again, that is just completely draped in discovery photos and photos that was taken at the house that he was at after the murders. And it makes you just wonder, is this normal? Or is this Wade's version of having a trophy of some sort? Let me know if you are familiar with inmates hanging up their discovery like this. Why would they do this? Or it almost seems as if he is basking in the crimes that he has committed. So like I said, it is very, very disturbing. And then we have the next two images, which are stacked on top of one another. The top one is the cell light, and it is closed. And then the bottom one is the light when it is opened. And what you're going to be focusing on is that the wires are exposed and he was messing with it. I'm not exactly sure what he was trying to do with it. Some speculate he could have been charging his cell phone with that. I have no idea. This is not my field of expertise, but it's interesting. Next up, we have the image of, again, the desk area, but this time it's focusing on that stool, which is supposed to go with the desk, but now he has managed to get it unbolted from the ground. He would then actually be using this to make his great escape as he smashed into the window. We're going to see those photographs shortly, but if you know how he did this, please let me know, because I could barely unscrew things with a screwdriver. So now these will be a few pieces that they found, I guess, as he took that stool off. So you could see that those are like the bolts. I'm not sure if they're referred to as bolts, but what was supposed to be keeping that stool into the ground, along with a couple of metal pieces, which obviously is a big security concern, as all of that could be used as weapons. So here is where that stool once was bolted in. You could see the hole from the bolts in the four corners. It's like a square shape. I'm not sure what the white pieces are, if they were underneath the stool, if they were placed there when they were taking the photo. Not entirely sure. I put these next two images side by side because essentially they're the same thing, but this is an actual jumpsuit that it seems like it may be one jumpsuit, and then again it seems like it may be two. It's torn in some places, but then again it looks sewn together in other places. Let me know if you think it's one jumpsuit or two, but I don't know if he was planning on using that to literally hang out the window and jump his way down or what, but it's Wade, so nothing would surprise me. Here's another photo of it. So again, it looks just all torn up. I'm not exactly sure what he intended to do with it, but there it is. And you could also see in that back part of the image that there is another jumpsuit sitting back there. So when Wade threw everything around and destroyed it, it made its way all the way into the hallway. Then we have what appears to be more stacks of discovery sitting on the bottom bunk of Wade's cell. I'm not sure why they would photograph this specifically, if it's considered contraband because where it was being kept, if it was maybe originally underneath a mattress, because as far as I know, they are allowed to keep copies of the discovery as long as it is within the rules and regulations. What we're looking at now is the top bunk, and already I can spot out so many items that we saw he was buying from commissary. We have a couple of body washes, the VO5 shampoo, a bunch of lady speed sticks, toilet paper. Honestly, it looks like tampon wrappers stuffed in the back there, but I highly doubt that. It's just a mess, along with more discovery paperwork. And now we're gonna see more to the left side. Again, discovery paperwork, a mess, just junk floating all around, which now leads me to even more believe that that bottom bunk had the mattress on it, and maybe all of that discovery was sitting underneath the mattress versus visible and on top. I'm not sure what their regulations are. So this is what his cell looked like after he threw his hissy fit. And as you can see, a lot of the items that were once in that desk area, he has pulled out and he has thrown all over the place, and it's even making its way outside of the cell. A closer look of what it looks like from the hallway outside of his cell. There you can see again the plunger, you can see the mattresses, you can see jumpsuits, a pair of shoes, and a bunch of linens. Now I can't for the damn life of me figure out what I am looking at in this photo aside from the pills and what appears to be a colorful amount of Tums. I truly, genuinely have no idea. So please, 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 if you have any thoughts, if you have any guesses, let a girl know, because it has been driving me absolutely crazy. It honestly looks like a butt plug. This photograph was taken once they removed the stool and the two metal bars, which were once against the window. They placed it up against the wall and took a photograph of it. And again, this ties into Wade's great escape, which he eventually was caught and charged for. And we're going to see that in a future episode. Then we have a variety of photographs of that window, which he did manage to shatter. You can really see it in the bottom right hand corner, but that spider web's out to the top left. Now, how he thought he was going to get through it, how he was going to manage to get that middle bar out, I have no idea. But to be fair, he managed to do a lot of damage in a short period of time, so who knows, he may have been successful. So I originally thought these were switches, but from what I am being told, this is actually hooks that you could put your towels on or your jumpsuits, and if it's heavy enough, the hook flips down, which makes absolutely zero sense to me, but that's what I'm being told. And then that top portion is like a little shelving unit that you could put things on. Here is where that desk area was, but it has now been emptied out and cleaned out and is still missing the stool. You can see where that stool once was sitting with that perfect little square with the 4 bolts that are just missing now. So yeah, this is after it's been cleaned out of all of his items. Also, we will see now what his wall appears like once all of those photographs of the discovery were taken down. You can see whatever sticky substance or residue he used to keep those photos up in the first place still on the wall. If you know what you use in jail or prison as a form of tape or glue, I'd love to hear it. It seemed to be like black tar substance that he was using, but you can see where all of those photos once were and now are no longer. Now we're looking at the intercom that's in the cell. If you look very closely within those little tiny holes, it appears to be the wet toilet paper that they referred to that he may have smeared in it. I'm not sure what the purpose of that would be, if it would become ineffective if it was in there. I'm not sure, but interesting. It just seems like he was a very destructive inmate, honestly. Last but not least, we have another image of that stool, the 2 metal bars from the window, and now you will also see the bag of the bolts and all of the additional items that they recovered from Wade breaking that. And so if he was successful in actually escaping, I don't even want to think about what could have possibly happened, but it is scary to see that he got so far in a short period of time, because you know he's only going to try again. All right, guys, so that concludes another episode. I feel like I'm walking away with more questions than answers, though, so definitely let me know your thoughts down below. If you haven't already, please take a second, hit that thumbs up, and I will see you all at the next one.